Now, I would like to welcome on the stage the participants on the next panel, How to Succeed as a Startup, with Moderator Atanas Neychev, co-founder and program manager of Artineraire, technology journalist and community builder. Welcome. Also, Lubomira Stanislavov, with the company Next Ego. Okay, then Digiburn, Georgi Natchev. Moneti, Ivan Atanasov. Efemerai, Sventlin, Penkov. And we need one more chair. Two more chairs. And active historical map, Aktivna историческая карта, Nikolay и Victor.
Such a huge panel. Welcome everyone to the best panel of Startup Europe Sofia. My name is Atanas Neychev and I will be talking about startup and how they succeed. But honestly, I would like to talk about the life of these people. I will reach their souls right now. Yeah, exactly. Ooh, yeah. So, first of all, thank you all for being here. Thank you all for watching during the live stream. Hello from Sofia, Bulgaria. And my first question, it's not a question actually, but can you pitch your project then or startup right now? We can start with Sventlin.
Sure. So, how many of you have heard about machine learning? All right. So some of you have heard about machine learning. Well, it's meant to change the world. What's actually happening is that many people who work on machine learning, such as myself and also my colleagues, we really suffer through making these models actually work and delivering real value in the real world with machine learning. So after spending lots of time leading machine learning teams, doing a PhD in machine learning and so on, I decided, it's time to help everybody actually make machine learning work in the real world and enable teams unlock lots of new potential and value. So that's why we started Efemerai, and it's really the first platform meant to test machine learning models, really stress test them, and tell you where they don't work, why they don't work, and how you can fix them way before you even think about annoying your end users, which happens quite often, unfortunately.
My startup project is called Moneti. We're developing educational and financial products that help kids learn financial literacy and build money management skills. So we believe that it's very important for kids to start learning about money in very early ages. And actually we need to educate also parents that there is such problem, and we're trying to find a solution.
Hello everyone, Georgi, co-founder and CEO of Digiburn, Help, the world's first self-help, 100% self-help burnout platform within a mobile app. Global mental health has been deteriorating for a couple of years, following COVID even worse so. Last year already, half of working age population was burning out, and nowadays it's still as difficult as it has always been to find help, to find specialists to take care of us. Hence, we decided to build a self-help solution for everybody to grow through the personal journey and reach the personal next heights. Thanks.
Hello, my name is Lyubov Stanislavov. I am the CEO of the automotive cluster in Bulgaria, but here I am because of the Nextigo project, the project for the electric car factories in Norway. And I'm sure that a lot of you have heard, because it's a lot of talking. Some people believe, some people don't believe. And yes, automotive industry is a bit different, but the only difference is that it requires a lot of space, a lot of money. So basically it's like a normal startup, but usually 10 to 100 times bigger. Yes, this is not just a simple project for electric cars. It's much more than that. It's basically started as a university project in the University of Aachen, and there is a hidden fight at the moment. Everybody wants to do an affordable electric car. Tesla wants to do a $25,000 car. Volkswagen wants to do a 20,000 euro car, and they all can do that, and they will be quite good vehicles. Their problem is that they don't know how to make a profit out of them. And we think that we have the answer, and we are building this answer here in Bulgaria, because using this technology developed in the Aachen University, we will be able to reduce the standard capex of an automotive factory with 80%. And because we are doing this in Bulgaria, it's basically 85%, not 80%. And if we succeed, which will be very clear in about 1 year and a half to 2 years from now, most likely everybody will want to copy this production method.
Hello, I'm Nikolay from Active Historical Maps. I'm the founder. So we create digital dynamic maps focused on history and geography education. And the problem we are trying to solve is the poor digitalization in the education of that field. But I think that history is as important as STEM education. We should treat it with the same status. It's essential for shaping people's culture and also creating the ability to accept other people's opinion. So that's why we want to address that problem.
Hello, my name is Natchev. I have worked for more than 5 years as a geographic information analyst in the foundation, and from most recently, I'm also a chairman of the foundation. As Niki said, our main focus is exactly education, because we know worldwide that digitizing education makes it easier and faster for children to get knowledge. And also, of course, we have two other fields that are not main, as from the system that we built can be used from a scientific point of view for analysis, and from a business point of view as a geospatial analysis.
Okay, thank you. Huge applause for them. These are great ideas. Right now, before I look at my fancy script here, fancy pink script, I would like to thank our hosts for today, Networking Premium, beautiful for them as well. And my first question, as I mentioned earlier, I want to know your souls. So, Sventlin, how did you start your journey as an entrepreneur?
Okay, so I think for me it's been slightly different than what you typically hear. So ever since I was like 3 years old, I wanted to build robots. This was really my main mission. This is the path I've been following. But then suddenly I realized at some point throughout my PhD that all this fancy research we do at universities and academia actually has to be brought in the real world. And to do this takes much more than just smart people writing papers and thinking about abstract mathematical terms. I'd love to do this all day, but sometimes I like to see my abstract mathematical ideas out in the real world, bringing real value. So this is really how I started thinking about entrepreneurship and building companies and startups. I actually had a great opportunity to join really the first autonomous driving company in the UK, where I used to lead one of their machine learning teams. And at some point, my manager came to me and said, Svet, you have your amazing machine learning team. You have to make them prove that your model is actually not going to kill anyone in London. So this was a big quest. This was a really, really big quest. After 3 years' time, we actually did it. Became the first company to get a certificate to deploy their technology in London. And this point actually was like, for me, okay, we started from some really abstract discussions on the whiteboard, and it was like a year and a half of delivery, building, iterating. But the final result is amazing, right? We managed to convince all sorts of people, insurers, authorities, different partners, that what we build actually makes sense and will bring value. And this really unlocked the whole idea for me. Okay, we should think more about how do we bring this amazing research in the real world to actually make real change.
Okay, one same question. What's your story?
Well, my startup story started when actually I became a parent of 2 kids. It's well,
Convenient.
yeah, as a parent, it's difficult to manage personal finances and family budget, so it's quite challenging, I would say. I was always had issues with my personal finances, and I didn't want my kids to have the same issues, you know. So I started to search products or solutions how to teach my kids about money and financial literacy, and I found that there is some opportunity in the market, that there are not many products that are available. And at that time, actually, I was inspired by Revolut, because I found it's quite easy to open a bank account and get a card from a digital bank. And actually, I wanted to create something similar, but for kids. So this is how it started. Even though, you know, we still don't have such app for kids, we managed to create some good products and we're developing another.
The same question?
The same question, yeah. About your life, your mission, what did motivate to inspire you in your education?
Yeah, for sure. So through school times, it was more about piracy and cracked games. I'm not going to speak much about that. It wasn't real entrepreneurship, but made some money. Then it was about second-hand phones. Throughout student times, it turned out to be consulting platform. So then I somehow tried to do this kind of a two-sided market where you try as bad as you can to convince both parties that they're actually interested to talk to one another or do some exchange. Didn't work out for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
And the most recent one actually found me instead of me founding it. A couple of years ago, I moved back to Bulgaria to work with people with whom I'm lucky enough to keep on working. And one of them came back from Israel just before Corona. I was like, yeah, you know, there's in Israel this digital therapeutics aspect and also mental health and burnout, which somehow like immediately lit the lamp. Me being a millennial, constantly on the look for productivity hacks, heavily driven by fear of missing out, always trying to be 150% everywhere where I kind of am interested. Somehow it made a lot of sense to me to actually move and transit towards mental health and start solving not only for myself how to keep halfway sane, but also sharing the knowledge with a broader audience.
Thank you. So you, I think.
Take your microphone. Take your microphone.
So we have 2 stories. The first time you being an entrepreneur and the current startup.
I will try to make the story short because it's a long story. So I'm an architect in degree, but I will not talk about that. I'm running, I think, one of the most busy architectural company currently. But parallel to that, I was, I would say, since a child interested from cars and automotive industry. And when I was studying in the architectural university, I started 97. And at that time, Bulgaria was basically bankrupt. And I had to do something in the summer. And the architectural companies, they didn't have any work for themselves. Actually, I was reading everything connected with cars, and I saw an article that they are looking for editor for the only newspaper for cars at that time, and I go just for a summer work. And yeah, it happened that it's not just summer work. 15 years later, it ended up as I was publishing probably almost every automotive magazine that you know, like Autobild, like Top Gear, and actually we started with Top Gear, which was very funny time, and another 10 magazines not connected with cars, just to protect that nobody is able to, acquire us. Another 20 websites and so on. And this was a very funny time. And this was the only option at that time, having something to do with automotive industry, because we as a country have a really bad history connected with automotive industry. Basically, during the communist period, it was barely nothing.
Let's don't go there.
Yeah. And no, I'm finishing. So luckily for me, in 2015, there were some, how to describe, bad people which were willing to acquire the whole publishing group, and they did so, which was not a very funny time for me, but it was one of the best things which happened to me, because this way I was able to focus on not like covering what is happening, but to go into the industry where the things are happening. Starting with the automotive cluster, this was not an easy time, because in the beginning nobody was believing us that it's possible to have an automotive industry in Bulgaria. And this was just 10, 12 years ago. Actually, next month the automotive cluster will be 10 years old. I will just mention two numbers and I'm finishing. Today, we have like 350 companies in this sector, and more than 70,000 people working for the automotive industry, and it's basically accounting for between 10 and 11% from the Bulgarian GDP. The biggest success is that today nobody is asking whether there can be automotive industry in Bulgaria, because they know that there is. Yeah, thank you.
I always wanted to work for myself, not to be an employee.
Okay.
That's the beginning. When I was a student, I constantly was in search of some kind of technological ideas. I was creating different business plans. I wanted to do something by myself. And I found out that the cheapest way to start, because I don't have initial capital, is something in the software sphere. It requires minimum initial capital. And 6 years ago, in the mountain, because I'm an eager backpacker, I wanted to impose different borders, because I knew what are the borders of Bulgaria back then. And I couldn't find a software solution at that. And I decided, I'm going to do it without expecting the challenges I faced later.
We will talk about this.
At the beginning.
I have two main points to talk about here. First one, it's really, I believe it's the main one for me, is that at the time when Nicky came to me, I went to Nicky, he told me that he has an idea about a startup, is that I saw the following. I'm a young person who has the ability to, with a good background, to start working somewhere in a company, not like startup, but somewhere where it's something stable, something secure. However, this is a startup. This is something that we do not have the fundamentals built. We're going to create something from scratch. My point is that this way, as I am the IT person, all the responsibility is mine. It's like that if I'm not able to find solutions to the issues, the work is there's not going to be progress. So I'm going to force myself to make progress. to get better. And the second part was that when we got in touch with Nikki and about this idea how to develop it, is that I was a referee in football and referee in athletics for more than 5 years, and I worked with children with thousands and thousands of children. And I have grew with the idea that education and physical development is key for everybody. So I was helping children from this point of view as physical development, and now I'm going to be able to create something and keep in mind something that is not built so that I can see it and copy it, right? I have to find a way, but it takes many years, by the way, like more than 5 years. So yeah, I'm going to be able to help children as well.
Thank you so much. By the way, I'd like to mention that if you have any question, you know these amazing people more right now. If you have any more questions, just ask, and we'll ask these questions in the end of our panel. So the next thing I want to ask you is about what does your working day look like? You get up, for example, or something.
So I think my working day started changing since I started the company. At the beginning, it was like very chill out. Like me and my co-founder would sit down, think about the product, think about the market, send a couple of emails. But the thing is, as you succeed more and more, things become more and more hectic. Like now, actually, having a 2-hour slot in my calendar is something like a bliss. That's something like I would crave for every day, like every week, to have at least 2 hours to sit down and think deeply. Because as a CEO, something that many people actually told me before I started. Starting a startup is hard. Building a company is hard. I was like, yeah, sure, it's hard, you know. But actually doing it's really hard. You have to deal with things like setting up the contract with the cleaners at the office, or setting up the contract for buying computers, and then sending some emails to convince some venture capitalists to give you money. And you have to deal with all these things and everything. It's constantly going. You know, the more you succeed, the more people ask you what you do, how do you do it, and they just want to chat with you. And I guess really the biggest insight I started having is the technical aspect of whatever product you're building. If you have good experts, is probably the easiest thing. So you have to be thinking much more about how is your product going to be brought in the real world, and how it's going to affect the real world, and actually who's going to use it first in the real world in order for it to actually stick and start actually demonstrating people. It makes their life easier.
What kind of technology do you use, or kind of innovation? Can you mention something?
Yeah, sure. I think the biggest issue I had is that whatever technology we use, we always hit the state-of-the-art barrier of, yeah, this hasn't been done before. Like, come on, that's annoying now. Like, I just want something that really works for our case. So yeah, we use, I guess the fundamental kind of technology in our company. We use Python everywhere, like programming language. We use lots of different tools for machine learning, PyTorch, I guess the standard data science stack. Something we started learning a bit more about is as we started scaling up our platform, different cloud providers, building up your infrastructure in the cloud. So yeah, it's quite broad. It's quite broad because ultimately what we're building is a horizontal platform that you have to handle all sorts of issues and deal with all sorts of cases. And I guess really the biggest technical challenge, if that's interesting, is really around standardization and being able to ingest different types of data, ingest different types of model, because different machine learning teams, they have different strategies to deal with this, and then at some point they're like, okay, we have to make sure this actually works. How do we do it? They come to us and they just have like a spaghetti code with all sorts of repositories and so on. So we have to figure this out. So again, I think the technical aspect is difficult, but it's always people first. You have to first understand the people really getting to their heads such that you can use the right technology to solve your problem.
Okay, thank you, Ivan. What about you, your working day?
My working day starts always with some question, what today I should do, the most productive task that will bring some progress to my project. And well, we're using tools like Trello to track the progress of different tasks. And we also communicate a lot with my team. So this is something that needs to be done on a daily basis. So yeah, that's it. We need to focus on the most important thing every day and keep going.
So it's a 5-day working week, right?
Yeah, not it's even 6 and 7 days.
Any question?
Same question, yeah, exactly. If you want, I can change
So
it.
on the personal side, it starts with a cold shower and a meditation to keep things check. Sometimes there is a run to that. And in the mornings, I try to avoid any calls. So at any price, I'll try to leave the time until 12 to be for creative and deep work. So it starts with prioritizing every day, having a look at the backlog, deciding does it still make sense to handle as it's listed, or there has been some kind of a shift because things change quite often in the hectic. And at the end, it's all about keeping human, I guess, in addressing the need that the user actually has, ensuring there is value add, but also in terms within the building, within the teams, within your colleagues, how to actually inspire them and treat them as human beings and not depersonalized through Trello's technology and other stuff. So I'm not going to even speak about the tech stack. I don't think it's so relevant. But yeah, following the need.
So, yeah.
Importantly.
Yeah, I'm not sure, but I think Henry Ford was the person who said that if you really like what you're doing, so you're lucky because then you don't have a working time. And more or less it's the case for me. So you can look it on the other way. So you are 24/7 working, which is not the best thing. And it's very complicated for me to explain because it's I'm doing many different things. But what I'm trying to do is to have a program for every day. Usually this program is or for the week. And usually this program is a very ambitious one, so I'm not able to fulfill everything inside, but I'm dealing with people, with contracts, with institutions, which is not the easiest part in the world. Different programs, different projects. Yeah, but it's basically that's the truth that I'm 24/7 working, and on the other hand, I'm not working because this is what I want to do.
Can you? I want to ask you one more thing. How do you relax?
Yeah, good question. Now I'm not so young anymore, so I'm trying to do that. But there was a very long period of time when I was not doing that, which is bad. I'm not recommending this to anyone. Yeah.
Okay. Workaholic things.
Sure.
Yes, the morning is devoted to thinking and planning. Later, during our programmer, we work not more than 5 hours because it's quite stressful. We're focused, and after 5 hours, we become quite inefficient, I would say. So after that, again, bureaucratic stuff. Also looking for new opportunities for funding.
Another 5 hours.
It depends, yes. As a whole, we don't have working time. The work is always here, and we have to deal with it.
I always start my workday as I always think about two really important things. The first one is that eventually, because I believe that we're creative people, we have an idea, I have an idea, or Nikki has an idea, or somebody comes to us and he's like, hey, can we make something from our business for geospatial analysis? It's really important for me to give a lot of time to think about explaining to the team from my point of view, like, is this going to be a cost-effective solution? Like, how to, before we start something, I really need to think about explaining it to the other people who are not as IT as I am. And maybe I work a little bit too much, so I'm not sure about the relaxing part. And also, it's another really important thing, is that we should, every single day, I'm trying to plan how much time am I going to be able to learn new things. Because in order to develop some technology like ours, you need to constantly read books or scientific papers. And if you do that, that may bring you back from the current work. So I have to plan all of this and to try to solve it.
So what kind of technology do you use in specifics? And you can talk later about the burnout, I think.
All right. Well, over the years, we have used a lot of different software and solutions. Like we have went from one system to another. Like at the moment, we use many different ones at different levels. Like for geographic information system like Pankis or any ESP type of software outcome. It doesn't matter. It's important to know what type of software you can use, and after that to choose like make a strategy. Like it's going to be open source, it's going to be free, like in the long term. Of course, we have a database, PostgreSQL. The programmer works on Python, on Java. I'm not a programmer, but I have some code with Java and some JavaScript libraries. We have a geo server, something that comes from the geo. It's all technical stuff. My point is that there is a lot of different complex systems that we need to learn and to implement in order to bring an end result.
Thank you for that. I'm asking these questions about the technology because imagine that they are somewhere in Innsbruck, Berlin, or Burgas or Samko. There is a person that wants to start a company and he or she needs these things.
Yeah, well, this is really good to point out here about the people who want to start. But currently, after 2020, at least the things that we're doing, the free software, the open source software, is so developed that it's literally on par with the paid one. So literally more than 80% of our systems are based on this type of free software. Otherwise, we would need hundreds of thousands of euros just for software, and we're actually on par with the paid software. So people who would like to start, of course, if they are knowledgeable and if they have good knowledge sources and people with good experience in companies and top level people in these areas, and talk and communicate with them, they can guide them like they guided me in order what are the best solutions. So you can even start with not that much of an investment in terms of technology, in terms of software.
Yeah, thank you so much. I think it's a good transition here right now to talk about problems and how we can solve them. So can you tell or share a specific secret story? Maybe it won't be secret, but how did you solve a problem in your company? A specific story.
Right. So I think in my mindset, and I think in our team, we have two types of problems. This is how I think about problems. There are internal problems and external problems. Internal problems are things like we are only that many engineers, we can't solve everything, we don't have that many people, not enough resources as any startup, right? And typically the main resource for us is time. So once we don't hit, for example, a deadline or something like this, we just sit down, evaluate what happened, why didn't we prioritize the right tasks and so on. These are typically the easy ones. Like with time, as you build up your team, as it becomes more coherent, you start to become really good at even avoiding these internal problems. The real pain point comes once you hit some external problems. Like when you have some expectation, you said, okay, we as a team are going to achieve X, X is going to affect the world in Y, and this is what we're going to get. We're targeting Y. So we achieve X, and suddenly Y doesn't happen. Now, this is the big issue, because this means that our internal system about thinking about the external world and what we can achieve is actually not right. And once we hit something like this, for us, it's typically just press a panic button, put everything on hold, and start thinking about, what happened? What can we change? How can we understand where is our mistake? And this is really the place where we use lots of, I would call it the scientific method. It's very far-fetched, like very in a twisted sense, but it is the scientific method. What this means, you identify the problem. You did X.
Right now?
Yeah, I'm going to share particular type of issue. So so you set a hypothesis. This is really the first thing that you want to do. You want to set a hypothesis that you want to test, and really you have to set your hypothesis such that it can be rejected. So as we were starting very early on, at some point last year at the beginning, we had a hypothesis that we needed one particular feature. Like we did release our program, it was MVP1, and we expected lots of interest, but suddenly, some people used it, but we didn't get the traction that we needed. So we said, okay, we believe that this particular feature would actually bring lots of traction, and so we wanted to do this hypothesis. We didn't want to spend time to do it, so what we did is we used open source, as you said, to as quickly as possible, really just patch something together so that we can put it on our website, and actually people can use it. And this was really powerful because what it gave us is we hypothesized this in 2 days. We had a prototype
smallest possible friction to kind of a solution.
Yeah, so my experience is that probably 99% of the problems and the issues CEO of a company can solve by rightly identifying the people responsible for the situation and bringing them on one table. And you should bring them a very good coffee or something to drink. In our case,
That's smart.
Yeah. In our case, in our office, we found that the best thing is cappuccino, and it's usually lactose free. But I will give you. We are dealing with such problems on a daily basis. I don't know, at least 5 or 10 per day. But a funny story is a brand new investment of a factory for computer chips for the automotive industry. And this is what is missing at the moment. So this is what is delaying the whole industry. This is better than gold. And such factory was built in Bulgaria and finished 10 months ago. But for different bureaucratic reasons, they are not able to get an operational permit because of different reasons. Actually, they didn't know why. And I was handled to solve this situation on behalf of the automotive cluster. So what I was able to do is to put the project team, the supervision team, the building, the investors, and the municipality on one table, and to sit down and discuss what is the issue. And the funny story is that during that meeting, we did understand that somebody in the municipality lost 5 drawings. And then they were really not willing to that this would be understood, and hoping that the problem somehow would be resolved by itself, and it didn't. But luckily now, this Friday will be the opening of this factory, official opening. So now the problem is solved. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Any kind of problem is solved by someone, I mean by a human being.
Really?
Yes, so the main manager's task is to find the right person. Yes, that's it. That's my task.
Great.
Right. Or I'm going to talk about 2 problems. One of them, it's actually really interesting from my point of view. It cannot be solved. Like the experts theoretically say that I'm not referring specifically to startups. In business, the biggest problem in any business is not expenses. It's not where to give money, because you can predict that, or like it doesn't matter even if the amount. The biggest issue is risk management. And when we are referring to startups, maybe that is one of the core reasons why most of the startups don't succeed, is that the risk there, it's on a way different level based upon stable businesses. I guess that this is a problem that I'm trying to think about it. Many people in the world are still trying to think about it, but it's impossible to solve. And the second one, I am really focused on optimization. Like the idea of what we're making, it's simple. With X amount of time, for instance, children or somebody in the business field or from a scientific point of view, they do something in their lives, right? For the same amount of time that they do that operation, to get a better result, to get more as a result. So I try to do the same. After I create something from a systematic point of view, I try to optimize it. So for the same 1 hour that I have done X amount of work, to do more and more and more work. And that problem, by the way, it has a field of itself, optimization, and it's just wonderful to keep developing yourself, and with for the same amount of time to do more and more.
Okay, thank you. I heard that we have only 5 minutes, so I will ask you the final question. Is there any questions from the audience? Yeah, Christina? It's not advertising, right?
The stage is missing, that's why I'm taking the word. Actually, I want to thank all of you. You're really inspirational examples. When we built this panel, actually those startups, they are not the usual one. They are successful startups, and they earn already the trust of the investors. So my final question to you is, what is the key word that you use to attract the investors? Because you already, all of you, win some investment trust. So, yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I think in my head, really the most important word is vision. I think this is really how we should be thinking about the startups we're building and what we're trying to do, because it's much easier to convince someone if you tell them, look, we're going to build the next ultrasonic jet. Obviously, that's expensive, but the people who have the money, they will be more than happy to be on board on this journey. So I think that I really would like to encourage future entrepreneurs and current ones really to build up their visions like really longer and just think about how they can really change the future. That's something we and my team are struggling constantly. Just think further down the road and be inspired how you can really change the world for the longest possible way.
Yeah, I think also that vision is one of the most important things, but also a good team. You need to present a decent team to the investors, and you will succeed.
Happy clients. that basically are part of the ecosystem. And our role here is to support them and to help them and also to connect them, to help them build valuable relationships and also to make business. And basically the deals can come out of this. As Nadia said, I'm Blagovesta. I'm team lead business development at TechTour. And our mission is to connect startups and investors, corporate players, ecosystem players in order to build a meaningful community. We are basically one of the larger investor-oriented communities in Europe. And we really want to strengthen our activities in Bulgaria because currently we are helping startups, but mostly on a European level. And we'll be happy to see more and more Bulgarian startups and companies participating into our programs and being part of our network. So with this in mind, first of all, I'm going to give the floor to our panelists for a very short introduction. With two of the ladies, you already had the chance to meet them in the previous panels, but now they're speaking from the community builders perspective. So I'm going to start with ladies first, with Rumyana. Rumi, could you share a few words about your activity?
Hello again, everybody. I'm sorry that if you're boring to see me again, but it's a joke. Okay, this time I'll be the head of the European Digital Innovation Hub Zagore, which is coordinated by the Regional Development Agency as its member. The hub is relatively new created. You know about this initiative of the European Commission. All of us are waiting for the results of the project submitted. Actually, the hub will have several roles. One of them is to support entrepreneurship, startup ecosystem, this relation between investors, venture capital funds, universities, academia, businesses, etc. And from my point of view, probably this will be its main role because the next one will be to support green transition of the region. You know that. Stara Zagora is most famous as energy herd of Bulgaria, but this herd now is brown. We hope to become green and digital and to be much more eco-friendly. And the green hydrogen will be in the focus of the hub to support its digitalization also. Last week, in the end of the last week, we had a regional conference dedicated on this one, and Technocrats was our guest to demonstrate how it's possible actually to start to create this innovation ecosystem from the ground, from the schools, supporting them to working with small models of hydrogen cars. And I hope that within the next decades, we'll have much more such cars in Bulgaria also.
Great, thanks a lot, Romy, for the intro. Then next is Mariana from Cleantech Bulgaria. Again, you were a speaker in the morning, but please tell us something that we don't know already.
Yeah, thank you very much. My name is Mariana. I'm Executive Director of Cleantech Bulgaria. Actually, the Community Builders panel is probably something that we perfectly fit in because we work already 10 years as community builders, actually. In this perspective, we are operating 3 regional innovation hubs of the European Institute of Innovation and Technology in the field of climate, EIT Climate Kick, in the field of manufacturing, and also food. We do this together with key partners, universities, corporates, and public sector as well, so municipalities, but also national government. Of course, we are having in our focus very much this startup entrepreneurial activity because we see this as a driver for the change, as something that can fast and easy accelerate the green transition, digital transition, and all type of new challenges that we are facing right now as a society, as an economy, and so on. And today I will talk a little bit more about how these hubs work, what are the opportunities arising from them, because I believe that even today in the morning, the Commissioner Maria Gabriel mentioned it, there are a lot of opportunities that are somehow missed because of lack of information or not so much knowledge how to participate in these networks. And I believe here all of us understand very good the value of creating partnerships, of creating networks, and this can be a very powerful tool when it is about innovations. So thank you.
Great. Thank you, Mariana. Then I would like to give the word to Todor Mladenov from Sofia Tech Park.
Thank you very much, Blagovesta, and thank you for the organizers for inviting me on this great stage. And I really enjoy being in such a nice audience here. I can say that I feel almost like in Sofia Tech Park because I see a lot of familiar faces around, and so for good or for bad, we know each other very well. So this is part of the community. I mean, there is a good side of that, and always there is a bad side of that. But still, we live in a very interesting time, I must say, because let's say 7, 8, 10 years ago, I mean, this inspiration just started here in Bulgaria, probably a little bit more in Sofia, but there we go. We have a wonderful bunch of technology companies of different sizes, starting from micro companies up to even quite grown and advanced Bulgarian companies. I'm not talking about the internationals; they're different story. So I'm here in the position of representative of Sofia Tech Park, which is the first science and technology park in Bulgaria. There are I know two other similar institutions in Bulgaria. They probably are going also to grow. I mean, it depends on them or the attention they might attract. But Sofia Tech Park is obviously located in Sofia for certain reasons, because the ecosystem was probably really advanced at that time. It started with the design back into, I think, 2012, 2013. So I'm going to tell a little bit more about what we are doing as a community builder in this case. But what we would like to start with is that we as an institution, as a part of the innovation ecosystem, we are also a kind of startup, because there is nothing that is certainly set for, and is known as the best model. I mean, such institutions, they work in one way in Germany, another way it's in Greece, let's say. France is also a different story. Spain is really different story also. So we are trying to find our way through the community, and actually to to give the best of our resources, because they are common resources. They are not corporate resources. They are public resources. So we are, by learning and by doing, we are trying to build our capacity, to submit all those resources to the ecosystem to the Bulgarian ecosystem.
Great, thank you, Todor. And we have the pleasure to be located in Sofia Tech Park for around 7 years now, I think, since 2016. So yeah, it's a great community. And last but not least, Mihajlo from Resonator Hub.
Thank you. By the way, it's just Resonator.
Resonator.
Yeah, people get it different. Yeah, Resonator is it's more of a it's not an ecosystem. It's more like a place where we are actually focusing on rapid development and prototyping, and we're trying to converge different industries and technologies. So we're providing the space, but we also act as a service company, giving access to different kinds of resources, but also giving access to know-how and to human resources for companies to actually build projects, and for startups, of course, to build their own stuff. But apart from that, from the community perspective, it's quite a key element, because human resource is something which is important for everyone, and we're trying to build a community around us through partnerships with different businesses, through partnerships with universities, and also some of our own companies, because we have a few companies around us which is managed by the same team. So our role more or less is focused on building products, as a company, but we want to actually share the capabilities we have with others. So it's an accessible, rapid prototyping facility, which also has a component of actually learning and education in terms of different programs on different topics. So we have courses, we have events. They're trying to actually enable people who don't, let's say, don't identify with lab spaces, which sounds scary to most, to actually get there and see that they could be doing something they desire, they want, starting from hobby to actually bring it to a level they can actually produce something which could turn into a business. So we're just making, let's say, the first step easy for people to see that things are possible and to get a sense of how they can achieve certain things. So it's kind of the main idea.
Thanks a lot for this introduction. And how big is the community?
Haven't measured it. I mean, we have a lot of partnerships with companies, and based on different, say, events, you could see people in the, I don't know, guess hundreds coming for different things. But mostly we try to focus on smaller communities, and we try to focus on added value in terms of higher expertise rather than just mass events without clear purpose.
Yeah, we are also doing the same small but focused events. All right, so that was the introduction of the panel, and now we are gonna discuss a bit the ecosystem on a more international level, and then we are gonna go to the regional and also local level. We're gonna start with Mariana, as your organization is operating globally, European-wise, and also locally. So give us your perspective on the community overview and basically how the ecosystem is functioning.
Sure, I need to stand. I don't feel comfortable like sitting and talking, so that's why I will just stand for a while. I have prepared several slides, but they're not for you know so much for information, but just for visualization on what the community looks like. Nadia, I send it to you on the email. So I don't know if you have received them. But nevertheless, even without the slides, I mentioned European Institute of Innovation and Technology. Why we believe that this is an important European level network, which is very good for supporting startups. The first key element is related to the fact that this institute is supporting very early stage startups, which usually for the European institutions is not something which is very common. Right now we have also other instruments, the European Innovation Council, but still this is the first and the oldest from this perspective institute supporting targeting entrepreneurial skills startups on very early stage, which is very needed when we talk about validation of ideas, validation of new businesses, also access to skills, which is the second pillar, because on one side you have the entrepreneurial side, and on the other side you have how you create these people, how you teach them, how you structure the educational process in order to bring to the world and to the business new people able to solve the challenges of the current world. And this is the community, actually. It's good for you to recognize it. Thank you very much, Nadia. This EAT logo. So there are several different communities that are working in different fields. So as you see, you have climate, you have energy, you have manufacturing, raw materials, urban mobility. So all of these, let's say, high-level challenges that we face as a society, as a business, are presented through these innovation communities. And what is interesting about them, besides the fact that they work combining the business, the educational, and the research, is that in each and every country they operate through these hubs. like ours. So we are managing since 2015 4 of these hubs, but we work also with the rest of the community. And what we do is connecting the local startups, but also educational institutions to the programs that EAT is funding. As Commissioner Gabriel mentioned, for the period of 7 years, the whole EAT, the whole communities, they have a budget around 3 billion euros to distribute and to spend in all Europe, of course, but in all these pillars: education, then business, and research and innovation. So here there are some recognitions and awards of what we have done, because, you know, in 2015, when we started with this activity, EAT was completely unknown. So nobody knew about it, and I believe that it was a hard period to explain to the people what are the benefits. And now we talk from the perspective of very different position. The people were not so likely used to work directly with the European Commission, and this is a difference. So because you don't have, you know, the direct access to the ministries, to the regional centers or national agencies, and we try to play that role. Of course, supported by a lot of other partners. We were also 3 years in Sofia Tech Park in that time, and these were also the first steps of the Tech Park, but also in this EAT world. And with the time, we show that this works, and you can really see this early stage acceleration and scale up already happening. And there are concrete examples how this happens, and we learned a lot. And I think also these examples are very valuable for Bulgaria as well. I will not go further in different formats, because there are really a lot. Every 2 months or 3 months, there are new call for proposals to for startups to get engaged, and we just focused on the one who are currently open for the audience, because I believe this should be further disseminated and communicated. The first one is a open call for women in manufacturing, which is also one of the topics in the previous panels. The Commission is really putting a lot of efforts in empowering women, especially in technological areas, to be more active. The second one is called Tech to Market. It's a project that it's in 5 countries is taking place, and it's actually a mini small acceleration program for bringing the technology to the market. So it's Tech to Market, and it's the open call. It's now till 15th of June for everyone who would like to get involved in this. There is no financial support, but a great advisory and mentorship program. And also there is another open one. It's called Smart Digi. It's a educational initiative that is bringing digital skills into businesses, because this is very much needed. It's a direct connection to what Rumyana will talk about later. Actually, this cannot happen on European level. This should happen locally. This should happen with the challenges of the local ecosystem, with the possibilities of the local ecosystem. We cannot compare each other so much with, you know, countries, and we should find our own way in doing it. And there will be one event on 16th of June for everyone who would like to learn more about EAT manufacturing, in particular with the representatives of the EAT manufacturing. The general director will be here in Sofia, and we will talk much more. It's a whole day event in Grand Hotel Sofia on 16th. On the stand over there is a QR code where you can register directly. So if you want to learn more, we're doing this every 2-3 months, like information campaigns, dissemination campaigns. So please feel free to register and visit our events as well. So thank you very much, and yeah, looking forward to see more and more people coming and getting engaged, because it's a good opportunity for everyone, I believe.
Great. Thank you very much, Mariana, for this great overview, and I hope that people in the audience will benefit from some of the programs. By the way, we just had an event 1 week ago with EIT raw materials, so this shows that the ecosystem players are well connected and we know each other and to actually operate together. So we heard a lot about the national level and also international level, but now we're going to speak about the regions and mainly regional transformation. Rumyana, you spoke from the head of a female entrepreneur and also, female game changer. So now tell us more about your current position in the transforming of the region and your passion, because I know that you're very passionate about it, as you already shared.
Yes, thank you. Thanks, Mariana, for giving me the words, because actually one of the roles, as I said, the digital innovation hubs will have a lot of roles, but one of them is to support the digital transformation of the businesses also. Small, medium, and large enterprises, as well as the public administration, because all of us know that in case the public administration is not innovative enough, is not supportive enough, then a lot of these transformation activities will not happen, or will happen with some late delay, and will not support nor the business nor the female entrepreneurship or whatsoever. And exactly such cooperation between the European Institute of Technologies and the digital innovation hubs, because the ambitions of the European Commission is to create a huge network of hubs in all of the 27 members countries with different focuses, with different smart specialization, in order to provide such kind of services in joint collaboration. I mean, if our hub is dedicated to the clean energy, which almost climate kick or something like this, the other hub we are cooperating very well with Larissa Digi Health hub. In this case, if we have companies which are looking for this kind of services, we'll connect them with this hub or with or Technopark. I don't know which will be the selected by the Commission, but what I know is, in case the project is not funded directly by the Commission, but will receive the seal of excellence, then for sure it will be funded by the National Recovery and Resilience Plan, or new operational program, Smart Growth, etc. So this is really very good opportunities for the regions, not only in Bulgaria but also in EU, because we know that Europe is Europe of regions, not of countries. And for regions as Zagore, which should transform themselves from scratch, I mean, forgot about the coal energy, forgot about GDP based on that. Such kind of initiatives, such kind of hubs really could support the digitalization, the smart education, also cooperation between the companies and administration and NGO sector, which in my opinion is really, really important. And not forget the academia and university. We have the unique multidisciplinary university in Stara Zagora, Track University, totally life science based university. And for us, it's really, really good advantage for this transformation. But collaboration with the national and European innovation ecosystem is very important. Thank you.
Great. Thanks a lot, Rumyana, and great for sharing this, because probably most of the people are not aware what is happening in Stara Zagora.
Sorry, just to add something that Mariana said. Actually, in my opinion, there is insufficient initiative to looking for information for funding. Because here in Bulgaria, my opinion and my experience is that a lot of companies are at administration also, just waiting for the operational programs, because it's easy, it's a national level. Everybody knows somebody in the operational program managing authority, just giving a call. This project is very important because of this municipality, and that's it. The initiative is not so big to reach the European programs, European call for proposals, and I'm just afraid that in this programming period it also will be a problem for us.
How do you think that we can change that?
Actually, one of the most difficult changes is to change mindset. I'll give you just an example. So probably actually in the end of May was closed the first call of Interact Europe program, which is really supportive for the public administration and encourage partnership between the public administrations within the regions. I've been asked by our colleagues from Greece to contact one of the regional governor offices in Bulgaria because they was their best choice for their projects. And one, second, third, fourth day, no reactions. And when I called, they told me, oh, we'll receive our official letter that we could not participate because of this and that, etc., etc. Sorry, but it's not the way to be more progressive. About the kick raw materials, we were partners in such a project implemented by Athens Technical University and Greek startups, and it was really a very good experience for us. And I hope to be successful to attract Inno Energy kick in Zagore because it's important for us.
Great. So again, thanks a lot for sharing what you're doing. Great progress, and hopefully we see a lot of other things happening in the upcoming period. Now back to Sofia, because as we heard in the previous panel, in Sofia there are a lot of things happening, but as now we heard from Rumyana, also the regions are progressing, and we hope to see this happening more and more often, and also with other regions, not only the big cities. So Todor, share with us the progress of the tech park since the foundation, and also more specifically, there was a lot of interest to the access to the labs. So tell us how we can be part of this, and if there is somebody who is interested also from the room, you can also ask your questions, of course, if there is anything else that is of interest to you. So back to you, Todor.
Okay, thank you for the question. Well, just few numbers coming back, let's say for 2021 and 2022, which is we are almost in the middle of this year. But right now, I mean, as you know, Sofia Tech Park is a great piece of, let's say, funded infrastructure. But on the same side, something that we are very focused on is how to build more content around this infrastructure. So for those of our attendees that don't have a clue even what is Sofia Tech Park, as I started this, it is a science and technology park, including in it 5-6 different components. Those different components are also a piece of infrastructure, but also I must admit that they're very well designed and they have their purpose and they have their meaning. And the goal is just one thing: how to improve the Bulgarian economy, how to improve the new technology trends that are obviously happening in Bulgaria, and we do it by using such an infrastructure. Right now, the park itself is a quite huge, let's say, location with a very big option for green development and everything. Right now, it is built or developed up to its 40% of its scale. So in the next, let's say, 5 to 10, 15 years, there will be a lot of room for expansion of activities due to what the trends are. So we are not, hungry to build up everything at one time. So we would like to have enough room in order to follow what the trends are. So we can add whatever is necessary along the way. So right now we are hosting more than 40-45 companies at different time, from different scale, from micro companies, small companies, scale-ups, and of course few big multinationals. And we do it on purpose because we believe that companies, especially in the tech trends, in the tech industries, they contribute to each other. They don't compete so much. Well, from time to time they can steal a person or two from because this is the situation. But in general, they support each other by communicating, by sharing some some services if you want, and this is very obvious. You can see it every day, and this is something that really inspires me while I'm around, to see companies from different industries and sometimes even from one and the same industry, how they help out in their projects. So 45 companies right now, around 1,200 people, have their jobs, and they work in Sofia Tech Park. And by the end of this year, we are also expecting another 800 people to have their jobs, their positions in Sofia Tech Park, and the park is getting quite busy right now, because two private investments have been launched a few months ago. So those buildings are expecting their newcomers, their companies to take their place there. So we are going to be quite busy. What is the most important and something that we are focused on is to be a little bit different than anybody else that is saying I'm a technology or industrial park. And this is the R&D infrastructure, and R&D infrastructure that is designed, and also now it is managed by some of the leading Bulgarian academic and R&D institutions, like the Sofia University, like the Technical University of Sofia, a few of the institutes of the Bulgarian Academy of Science, and few others. So this is actually the location or the place we have invested the most, and there the expectations are also great. But so far we are investing our time and our efforts in order to do one thing, to get those sites, the business side and also the research side together. So it takes a little bit of time. It is a process in order those two very important, let's say, stakeholders or participants in the innovation ecosystem, to run their activities smoothly. We have a number of success stories. For example, we going back to 2018, we are increasing our services in total numbers, as in numbers, but also in currency by 70 to 100% each year, which is really good for us, because we are trying, to improve their capacity, and most of it confidence, especially on the side of the researchers, to work with the real industry. So it's not easy. I'm not saying it is easy, and we are very successful, not at all, but we are improving. So the labs are out there. Some of them are really very demanding, and they're looking for such cooperations or collaborations with the business. And what we have done so far is two things. One is to present all the services of those labs that are not customized, I mean direct services, and also to present the equipment that we have in those labs. One thing, and second thing is to actually we have developed a team of 4 people that are kind of mediating between the industries and the R&D teams. So this is, I said, this is a process. We are also attracting and learning from some of few foreign technology parks, and trying to get the best of that knowledge. Because I mean, it's not a secret that well-performing science and technology parks needs at least 7 to 10 years in order, to move on. And what we are focusing right now is to attract additional source of funds in order to build such a capacity. So not so much to invest in infrastructure and equipment, but also to invest in the capacity of the people that are either doing research or trying to sell that research or simply commercialize it.
Thanks a lot for this overview. Of course, it's important to have people to use the labs and the facilities. Otherwise, it's it's not useful. But great to see the progress, because I remember when we moved to the tech park in 2016, there was not even a place to have lunch, and now the queue for the lunch is reaching the door. So it's really full and very busy. Come to visit. It's really nice, and the progress is amazing. Thanks, Todor, for the overview. And now, last but not least, to Mihajlo, share with us about your Resonator, not hub, as we already found out, and also the why. I mean, why are we doing this? Because we know that every one of us is doing helping the community, but the big why, what keeps you awake at night, and stuff like this?
Many different things keep me awake at night, but that's a personal story rather than community building. Thanks for the question, because I think it's relevant to the conversation. When we talk about community, I mean, there are different kinds of ambitions I've seen across different facilities, and quite often people try to scale communities quickly and to monetize them somehow. I would say that's completely wrong. The main reason being that you cannot just monetize having people who are not participating, and the whole goal of monetizing people in your community is not really relevant if you don't have any clue of what exactly you want to do with them, right? So from our perspective, it's more about how do we benefit from having a community, and at what size is the community actually stopping to be effective. I would say that our focus and goal is mostly to be around people who are great in terms of their own skills they have, to be able to have access to great minds and people who can do different things from what we are doing. And that's the main reason why we actually initially built the space. So we could have been, let's say, focused on creating, something which will be driven by these kinds of vanity metrics, like we're doing events and it's big and all, but that doesn't really in any way benefit us. Like we don't live from communities, we live from service we're doing. And the background to Resonator is actually my other business, which is a software company and product development company. So we decided we'll just build an R&D center which will extend our capabilities, and being fully aware that we cannot employ that many different skills and maintain that successfully. So we decided, why don't we cooperate with more people than we can actually have? And why don't we open up what we're building for ourselves to others? And by community building, I think we're here already a community, and we're operating or working together on different things, or have been in the past. And this is kind of the spirit we're trying to, let's say, emphasis on even more in Sofia. But also, we're actually not focused entirely on Sofia. We're more focused on internationally. Down the line, I hope one day I'll see that we'll have many Resonators around the world, which is actually going to be a network of, let's say, facilities which have access to people and access to clients, and that will benefit everyone. So I'm not really sold on the size of it. I'm more sold on the quality, and we need quality people, and we need to produce quality people. That's why we've also invested in, we have Technokratis, one of our companies. We have a STEM center. It's important to start early. Then we have also an education kind of arm, and trying to build more content around that. Of course, it takes time. But we're also now with Sofia Tech Park and a few other companies creating an association for engineering. So engineering in terms of hardware, and not just software engineering, which is already quite successful in Bulgaria, but also promotes the role of hardware engineering and different kinds of experts. It's very essential nowadays, like from automotive, we heard before, to drones, to small robots for education, to anything. There is a component of hardware engineering, which could be anything, and it's a difficult task. With software engineering, there is a focus on, let's say, different set of technologies which are quite popular, but with hardware, it's a massive, massive thing. That's why we need to work together and actually build it from the ground.
So you're basically putting a lot of different communities together through all of your various activities.
Yeah, that's the other aspect of like we want to plug in different communities. By plug in, I don't mean in a bad way, but we want to make these connections, and that's why we also have like things around music, things around arts. These are different skill sets, and sometimes they give you a completely different I don't know, view on things. So we have software developers, but we're also hosting a few teams, for example, for urban development. We're also hosting for free the master's program of Sofia University, which is technological entrepreneurship. So these are all different skills. And I think when you combine them, that's when you actually get a lot of value. And so far, most of the places I've been to, not in Bulgaria, particularly around the world, they're too focused on a niche thing, and we're trying to break these things completely. Like the more communities we can bring together, I think the bigger the value potentially. I may be wrong, but let's see.
You're not, but we'll see. Okay, I believe that we are out of time, Nadia, or not really? Because we wanted to share one more thing with the audience about this mysterious startup that started from, from Stara Zagora, from Clite, Bulgaria, then to Sofia Tech Park. Would you like to share some words about the startup? Because this shows how the community is basically collaborating and the results out of it. And of course, hopefully they reach also our events on a later stage because we are gonna welcome them. So very briefly about it.
I will start with that, but it's just one example. Of course, it's something that really shows the regional cooperation and then the European scale of something, which not always should be a breakthrough innovation, because at the end, we don't need something really new, but we need something that works. And when it works, it means that it's necessary and the people need it. So it was a small group of people who it's a team from professors from the Trachea University in Stara Zagora and some more business-oriented people who came to us. It was in 2019, I believe, before the pandemics. Yeah, I'm making, my life is now before and after the pandemics. And they said, we're doing something which might be interesting. It's a new biofertilizer from water waste and from sludge, actually. And they said it's something that works. Look, here we have tested it in lab, and also we tested it on cucumbers, and we tested it on some other plants. And they showed some pictures, and I said, okay, let's see what we can do. And it was a good thing because they came already formed as experts, or scientific people and business people, which is something rare. But I believe that this is the first recipe. So you should have both. And then they were able to a little bit start working on that to attract funding for, I think there were about 50,000 euros, 50, in order to further develop their product. They brought a real final product. Let's say it was a prototype, but at the end it was a product. And they started selling the product. And in that time, we were in Sofia Tech Park. Then I just received a call 2 weeks ago from Todor saying that they're having this great initiative with the flowers last weekend. And he asked me, do you have some idea about startup who might be interested in that? And I said, yeah, okay, let's give them a call. And it's a cooperation which sometimes takes 2 or 3 years from the lab to the market, but it requires the efforts to be in a way put together by all of us, because it's a process. So it's like growing a baby, and it needs its first steps, first words, but after that it needs also access to this knowledge between people, but also between networks. Otherwise, probably they will do also a good job. I'm not saying that they will not find another way, because for sure that there are hundreds of ways. But I believe that it's not making any sense to start everything from scratch. So if you know someone who knows someone who knows someone, it's always better to refer.
Okay, final words.
Yes, I'd like just to say that we promoted this startup in the EU Industry Week with the participation of Zagore, because for us it's a progress. Thank you for your support. And I believe that will not be the last one, the first but not the last.
Just, I would like to add a few things about what Mariana already said. It was a great communication. I mean, it took a few hours, to set the whole thing going on. Actually, after she recommended me the company, we talked to them, we invited them. Actually, they got the best location and their stand was just in the middle of the whole event. And we're still not ready with the numbers yet, but I think we had more than 5,000, 6,000 visitors in those 2 days. I mean, this weekend, Saturday and Sunday. So yesterday, when we were about, to close everything down, I was not ready to go and speak to them, because they had quite a bit people coming and asking and talking to them. So, but by the end of this week, we are going to have a call and to speak about what else we can do about them. So it could be a publication, it could be an introduction to a lab facility. We can also try to find somebody to mentor them, or if they say we would like to get some more funds raised or whatever. So we are going to have our next call and meeting, and we are going to move forward.
Great. Well, thank you very much. That was all from us. But if you want to know more, please reach out. You have the contacts of everyone. And hopefully there are more success stories that we can tell you more about in the next editions. Thank you very much to the panelists. And now we are going to hear the next panel. Back to Nadia.
Thank you, everyone. Now we are going to have the last panel of this evening presentations that is covered by two experts in Metaverse, Benjamin Tallin and Igor Tasic, and moderated by Kirill Stoichev, Startup Europe Week organizer. So I'm going to let him present the speakers.
Thank you, Nadia. So this is Benjamin. He already was participating in the event before. He's from More Than Digital. And we have online via Zoom. Maybe we just swap places because we have Igor Tasic, who is actually, I don't know if he's hearing me. Hi, Igor.
Hello.
Okay, you can hear us well.
Yes.
Okay. So,
can you hear me?
Yeah, perfect. So I have several questions written down here. So I suppose I'm just going to ask first Igor, and then maybe Benjamin can say what his opinion is about them. So my first question to Igor is, what is the metaverse concept?
Well, first, if you allow me, Kirill, just like to make a quick intro, because for me it's kind of a comeback to Startup Europe Week. I started Startup Europe Week in 2015, and it's related to this question that I think you make. I think when my original dream with Startup Europe Week back in 2015 was to have exactly what you guys are having now in Sofia, connecting talent and resources from anywhere, from everywhere in the world. And I think that's happening right now there. It's a dream, literally a dream coming true. And I think the metaverse is no different from this. I think that as we take for granted the electricity, or we take for granted the fact that we have a toilet, in a very near future, we are stop thinking about the internet as a thing and we start living the internet. And I think the metaverse in many ways is this place where we just don't go, we are in. And to me, is the connection with Startup Europe Week is direct in the sense that when I started Startup Europe Week, my dream was to connect regions from all over the world and entrepreneurs from all over the world, wherever they are, wherever they come from. I think now the metaverse in many ways can allow that to happen as the region of one, as the entrepreneur that is still connected to the region. I think entrepreneurs that are in Sofia, they can still benefit from the resources that are in Sofia, but also connect to something bigger than Sofia and the world itself.
I think we have some. Okay, Igor, thank you about this. Of course, I really didn't say it, but Igor is the co-founder of Startup Europe Week, which was in 2015, as he said. So thank you about that. So my next question is, what are the possibilities in the metaverse? Basically, your company that you're actually also a founder of is called METAVERSE. So you are helping businesses enter the metaverse, so to say. But what are the possibilities for the business and for the end users that come with the metaverse?
I don't differentiate. I think this is something that, for the good and for the worse, a lot of people confound, and there's a lot of confusion of the metaverse and then the crypto world and then NFTs and all of this. I think digital assets is a thing that, of course, will be part of this whole story, but it's not equal to. I think first, to address your question, I think it's important to separate whatever the hype, whatever the bullshit that everybody's talking about the metaverse. I'm not coming from this place. My place is coming from business as it is. And business as is, to be honest, comes back to 5,000 years, 8,000 years. I usually say that I like to give this metaphor that I happen to have here an arrow. I don't know if you guys can see. I think there is a little bit of delay of my video, but anyway, I think you can see this arrow here. This is a Neolithic arrow of 9,000 years old. It actually is 9,000 years old. And this is a tool. Our ancestors used to use this tool to hunt, to feed their families, their tribes, to protect themselves. And this thing here, if you take this, is no different from this thing here to me, in the sense that if one was the tool of our ancestors 9,000 years ago, this is a tool of us, of our generation. And I think we can talk about a little bit more about it, but to me, to think about the metaverse as a different thing from the business that we have now, from the environment that we have now, is not constructive. I think we just have to understand that whatever you're doing now in the physical world, in the digital world, eventually it will migrate to this hybrid world where immersiveness will be the thing that is going to be a continuum. So we're not going to have this thing that, oh, you guys are there in Sofia physically, I'm here in whatever I am in a digital way. I think business will.
Okay.
I can take my video off.
Yeah, now it's better. So Igor, we hear you. Now you're saying about some kind of mixed reality. Basically, we have seen seen this with applications which give you augmented reality. Then we have seen like a lot of new technology. But how far is actually the technology? Like, what is the technology capable of? Now in the metaverse concept, you should be able to feel. Like touch, and so how far are we? Is it realistic enough? Does it have to be realistic?
I think it's like any technology that evolves. I mean, like right now, we are facing a delay in my video. That has nothing to do with you guys or myself. It's just a question of networks. I think a lot of people forget that the internet is not magic. It's built on top of decades of infrastructure. And I think that's going to happen also with the metaverse. If you think about this thing here, super clunky, of course, if you think 20 years from now, it will not be like this. Like the telephones, I don't know, the older ones in the room will remember. I'm going to take my video off again. The old ones in the room remember the first mobile phones and the things that we have now. So it's natural that technology evolves as we use, like everything. I think now people are too short-term oriented. They are looking at this as kind of a still coming from the game industry. They still very tagged to the experiences that are possible today. Like I remember the web. I remember when I first saw Netscape, and it was a horrible experience using Netscape, but it was an amazing experience compared to just going to the library. So now I think this is also is already a good experience, but compared to what probably going to be doing 10 years, if we start using, if we reduce the cost, because as you know, unit economics play as long as we use it and we adopt it, like the smartphone. I think the outcome is positive, but I feel I see some signs of people just dismissing, I don't know, like a device like the one that I usually use, like Quest, because it comes from Meta or Facebook, and I think that's not constructive. I think it will delay more the evolution if we just peg technology to ideology.
Igor, first of all, maybe you can turn back your camera on. I think it was just a temporary thing.
Yeah, I'm speaking super quick now.
Yeah. Okay. So you mentioned Facebook, and we all know that they recently rebranded as Meta. And from what I have heard, but I'm by no means expert on the matter, they're trying to hijack the term so that they can monopolize the whole concept, which from what I hear is not exactly the case. So can you say a little bit more about that?
I don't think they are trying to hijack. I think people think they are trying to hijack. If you just go and watch NVIDIA's launch, they just talk about the omniverse or their vision of the metaverse, and they use very freely. I think everybody, it's like the internet. Again, I remember reading a Bill Gates book in 1996, and it was about like the infoway, and the infoway would change the world. And then eventually we called that the internet, and now we call it the cloud, and now we call it, I think, of course, they started talking about this in a more cohesive way, but I don't think any company will hijack or monopolize this concept, because it's just an evolution of that. And to be honest, I don't even like the term metaverse. I think if it is useful for people just to come together, but eventually in the future we're going to call this something else, fantastic. I think, again, the media and most people are just unserious in the sense that they just want to speculate on a topic and they just want to create the next bubble. And this is not about it. I think it happened in the internet. It happened everywhere. It always happened in every technological curve. And now, especially during COVID, that we're still during COVID, people take this as the next opportunity just to trade. But of course, it's okay. I have nothing against, like the old famous Gordon Gekko, greed is good. Okay, maybe it's good for some people, but it goes beyond. I think it's, if we just ignore company A, B, or C and just focus on what it might represent, I think this is transformative. That's where I come from here.
Okay, so basically your opinion is that...
I don't have opinion. I don't have an opinion. I just talk about the truth that I see.
So, okay, my opinion is maybe it's a little bit scary right now, but maybe it has good future. And yeah, let's see what Benjamin has to say about that. With my first question to him.
I would actually like to pick up some stuff what he said, because metaverse per se, yes, it is something new, but also in the end nothing new. So what we always tend to forget, what actually metaverse is nothing else than what we have right now. So I always like to speak of this example, because back in the old days you were literally seeing websites built from professionals and you were consuming it. So one day somebody had an idea, what is when we can all collaborate? And now we are uploading pictures and liking. So this was the Web 2.0. So that was pretty much this, how can everybody be a contributor? And I guess the information will be always there and the problems will be also always there, what we also have in the current internet, because the evolution didn't change that we are actually misusing technology in many ways. The only thing that Metaverse makes difference is actually the immersiveness, and that is also where the danger comes in, where also the danger when we are talking about the Metaverse comes in. And I have to disagree. There can be an oligopoly at least, and if not monopoly, on this effect, because we have seen that. I mean, how many companies do you know which are as big as YouTube or Facebook? You have these network effects, and the bigger something gets, the more network effect you can create. And the problem is, the earlier a company steps into new immersive technologies. I mean, just look at the smartphone market. We have 2 operating systems, and that's not gonna change when we are going for the metaverse, because there will be pretty much like 1 or 2. I mean, just look at Windows. We have the same. Windows has a market share of 90-something% or so. So
So guys, both of you, Benjamin said that he has consulted governments, and Igor's business is MetaVentures, who is actually consulting businesses on the metaverse concept. So can you give examples? Like, for example, Benjamin, what did the governments ask? Like, what were their concerns? Were they the same that you have, or had they no idea, or what was it interesting concept to look about, or how was the research?
Actually, the most interesting one was like 3 months ago, right? So from a Middle Eastern government, and they wanted to see kind of like how can they invest in the metaverse. Yeah, so for them it was like the thing, we are missing out something. We want to be on the forefront of technology, and that is actually a quest of many different ones. So how can we be on the forefront? And yes, there is a lot of bullshit around, sorry for my language, but the problem is really, it's like Web3. It is a marketing term that is being constantly misused, and metaverse is one of these misused terms. Actually, saying video producers, I mean, if you have a video game and you have a multiplayer mode, suddenly it's a metaverse, which is actually from the principle bullshit. And I guess, Igor, you're gonna
maybe
agree with that. The thing is, when they're asking that, so the problem with the metaverse is they are seeing already the problems that we have with the current internet. And as I explained, there is a lot of addictive value to that. There is also some legal questions regarding this. For example, what happens when people are suddenly earning income in a virtual universe with a virtual currency disconnected from the real world? Who is the judge if something is going wrong? Who needs to pay taxes? Where? Is it a Facebook company? Then is the business making money in the US, even though they are in Saudi Arabia, in China, in India, wherever they are? So where is the taxation? Where is the law applicable? What is when I'm sexually harassed in the
Benjamin,
metaverse?
I mean, I
of that specific operation raised in the following 2 weeks by 80%. Of course, I cannot claim that it was because of the VR.
No,
But
it's a good
something
example.
happened in that team that they didn't have to go to their offices. They didn't have to face 2 or 3 hours of traffic jam, and they were just in the comfort of their house without having a terrible experience in using just clunky video call.
I see.
And they were had the same feeling of presence with their colleagues. So this is just one example.
I mean, I totally
that I
agree.
think nobody talks about.
I think Benjamin wants to say something.
Yes, definitely. I totally agree there. It's nice to use VR, but we really need to distinguish between VR and metaverse. I mean, VR, AR are some concepts that can be used in different settings. And that is, for example, for training purposes. Yes, it's great when people are.
How many times you
using
used VR for training, Benjamin?
How many? What?
How many times you used VR in training?
I used myself
Personally.
2 times.
These are the topics that we should discuss, and of course
No,
there should be some legislation for this.
Of course not. So, guys, it's getting really heated. So, I have one more question for you both. So the question is, it's a new concept. Obviously, it's getting improved, and we can say whatever we want, but many times we have started with something, it didn't look good at the beginning, and then at some point it improved over time, step by step. So I think this is going to be the same thing with the metaverse. We hope it doesn't get ugly, as Benjamin predicts. I hope at least, because it looks interesting. But if at the moment, because this event is after all about startups, if someone wants to actually start a startup which is focused on something in the metaverse or the VR, doesn't matter, in this area, what is going to be your advice? In which area to focus? Like, what is underdeveloped? What is a solution that doesn't exist yet? Somewhere for people who are not who are into the matter but not yet specialized, where do they focus? So Igor.
Well, it's like the beginning, like Benjamin well said. I remember back 2006, this website called YouTube.com. It was great because it had 1 million videos. And look at what became now. It's part of pop culture. And I think the same here. I say that entrepreneurs can benefit in maybe I call it 3 C's. And you can say this is a BS, but I think that there will be a need for creators, curators, and connectors. And definitely, if just take VR as an example, as an expression of the metaverse, most of the content is just very bad. You know, even the gaming, even the way people interact, because the people behind it, they just are coming from another place. They are not thinking about effectiveness and productivity. So the need for curators, people that just curate content that should be used. Creators. I mean, whoever watched the new HPC and the new GPUs launched by NVIDIA, I mean, and if you think about what's going to happen with the use of AI, the need of creators in this world, doesn't matter if it's going to be 3D, VR, whatever, it's huge. and connectors.
That's
I think, again, like we're doing here, when I created the Startup Europe Week, the idea was to come up with connection, like exactly what you guys are doing. You're bringing together everybody in one physical place. So connecting the right people, connecting the right content will be key. So I don't give prescriptions.
No, I think
anyone,
it's a good idea about content creation, because after all, that's what people are going to be experiencing in the end. Okay, so Benjamin, what is? Do you have a suggestion?
Actually, that's what I wanted to say before. Actually, we need to really differentiate between VR world and metaverse, because metaverse is literally creating these virtual worlds, and experience is key there. That is what I was explaining before. It's an attention economy. So when we are really looking at that, then is metaverse more like the internet and not like YouTube. YouTube is a business model based on the internet, because you can, I mean, when YouTube was coming, the internet was getting faster, so you could stream videos, and that was a very crucial moment. And the same will be also for metaverse. You can actually stream experiences, and you can not just stream experiences, you can interact with experiences digital. So there is a huge market for literally everything that is connected with, I don't know, you can do, for example, virtual tourism, you can look at education stuff, pretty much everything that is
so in
experience-based.
a way it's also content creation. So maybe we had a little bit of rough start, but at the end this is a good opportunity for new companies, no? So
yes,
absolutely.
as I said, it's a total new economy which is based on a new model of internet. I mean, it's literally just a base layer technology which is giving you opportunities to build a business model. But everything you can do one person who knows replica.ai. And the challenge is actually, have you tried it? Okay, perfect. It's actually an AI that is replicating a girlfriend/boyfriend. So you can into the mind of a customer. It's not 4.5 hours spending in front of the phone. It might be that we are literally spending 18 hours a day within the metaverse.
yes, well, it's the same concept as video games, and the same concept as social media. So basically it's actually, if you want to get this immersive behavior, you can find a way even now. You don't need the metaverse. But anyways, guys, if you want, you can just say your final thoughts about the concept, so that we can finish in a more positive manner. So please, Igor.
Sure. And I'm going to share a story with you. And this is very meaningful for me in the sense that one of my employees, he's in a wheelchair. So he's disabled very much. He can only move his head and his hands, and barely move his hands. But I put in his hands one of the Oculus, and the only condition is that we would just work in VR, and we do. And whatever advantage that I have being a fit, tall guy, I don't have there. Whatever disadvantage that he has being a disabled guy, he doesn't have there either. So we are actually equal. It's not a theoretical concept. So the only thing that I get from him is his mind, is what he is able to create, is what he's able to do something else beyond work.
Okay, thank you very much, Benjamin.
I think the metaverse is a great opportunity, and we really have to look at it in an infancy state. So it's at the early stage, and pretty much every company should try to find their way of leveraging it and testing it. So there is no definitive metaverse. We don't know which one will prevail. We don't know where people will be. We don't know which technology will be the best, but the best is to actually accommodate yourself, try it out, and do something. And I guess the opportunities there are big because of the immersiveness. You have a different connection to customers, you can build a different business model, so you can leverage. It's like YouTube. The internet is getting faster. Okay, we can stream videos. What do we do when we can stream videos? And now businesses need to think, okay, now we have virtual reality, we have maybe touch sensory devices, which is, for example, Facebook is working on, so you can literally feel things. So what can we do if this is possible? It's like getting the internet is getting faster, so video streaming is possible. So business needs to think about a reasonable way how to deal with that. And we also need to make sure that we don't have too high expectations, because it's a learning process. And we need to also admit there are so many technologies involved. I mean, we need to improve chip manufacturing. We have GPU problems. We have processing power problems. We have network issues. So literally the whole world would need to change to actually make it possible that everybody would be in a metaverse. So what we are doing is also sometimes dreaming about the future. And that is also, the humans are not very good in anticipating long-term exponential change. We always think that technology will be in the short term a huge impact, but on the long term, we totally underestimate what is going on. And that is also the same with Metaverse, because Facebook actually brought the ball to rolling. The crypto community was actually the one jumping ship because they needed something where they can say, yeah, now finally it makes sense that we have blockchain. The problem was that people need to understand that there is a long-term positive effect on the customer experience when it comes to dealing with information, with experiences, etc. But it won't change the way what we are working, how we are working, what we are doing on a short term. And short term is literally like 5 years. But just imagine how long it takes that your phone is now able to actually do AR.
Yes, but people are used to this high technology leaps that mankind makes, and maybe this is the reason why they expect fast results. And yes, but
yes.
But
okay. we are pretty much on all technologies. There's like over 40 different technologies involved to actually make the metaverse work, and pretty much all of them are insufficient in a very big means when it comes to real metaverse. So there are so many issues to solve.
Yeah, guys, do you have anything? Both of you, do you have anything to add? And if there is any question from the from our public? Okay, no. So if you guys don't have anything to add, I thank you very much for coming. Thank you, Igor. And
Sure.
yeah, thanks.
All right. Thank you, guys. Congratulations on organizing, Nadia.
Igor, thank you very much. Actually, we are glad to have you as a participant in the last panel, as the person who created this initiative. It's really a pleasure.
You should be watching there because
yeah, it's really a pleasure to have you here, and we are growing the initiative, and we are happy to have you as a speaker every year. I would like to thank the entire team, because we are a big team of co-organizers. Kirill Stoichev, Kristina Eskenazi, Bilana Rompova, and Peter Vidov. And I would like to thank everybody, all the people who helped us during the entire day, and to you that was and are with us, and of course our sponsors that are providing this experience during all the pauses. And now the things are like continuing. We are going to enjoy another cocktail part,
So
and
she's
then
trying to say that we're done with the with the
Yes.
event, and now it's time for party.
it's time for party. There is catering here, and there is one small surprise. We are going to enjoy some drinks on the rooftop. Actually, it was part of the program before we understand it is going to rain, but now it's not going to rain. So enjoy the food, and then we are going to wait for you upstairs.
Thank you.